Jared and Jacob join us this morning from Marble City Pharmacy. I was looking at the intro. We're going to have to change y'all's mug shots.
I think so too. I was a little heavier in that mug shot, I think.
Well,
yeah.
You know, if we redo it, it's not getting better.
Well, I didn't say that.
Okay,
but,
okay.
You know,
just so we're clear.
Do we have on makeup in those pictures?
Where do we have makeup?
That's
we
a
don't
good
do
point.
makeup here.
Yeah.
You know, we're
We just look
beyond
better than
makeup.
normal in the pictures. What I'm concerned about. Yeah.
Maybe you have makeup.
Oh, it is mid-spring now, and summer's on the way. School will be out before long, and people will be scattered to and fro, going to the beaches and to the lakes and out in their yards working, and that's all good. But then there's skin cancer that can develop from some of this stuff. Let's talk about that this morning.
You know, we wanted to talk about skin cancer because it is that time of year, like you said. If any of you guys have seen our dad in the last year, he's constantly had staples in his head, had a number of skin cancer lesions cut out. In addition to that, we've had multiple patients, it seems like, in the last year who've had skin cancer cut off in various places, mostly on the face. And so this subject's kind of near and dear to our heart right now. It seemed like the right time of year, and a good something for us to talk about today.
You know, Jacob, we're talking about on our heads, on our face and stuff, but skin cancers can be all over your body.
It can, and you know, we forget this. The skin, by far, is the largest organ in the body. Mm-hmm. So, well, where's the most likely place to have trouble? There it is. To the extent that it is skin cancer, if you lump them all together, is by far the most prevalent form of cancer. 1 out of every 5 people, by the time they hit 70, has had skin cancer.
Wow.
Had to deal with it. Is that 20% of folks out there have to deal with skin cancer, at least.
I had one removed somewhere up in here several years ago, and that seemed to be a common place to face because, you know, people lay out in the sun or they work out in the sun without a hat on or something like that. So what is the skin cancer we're talking about today?
Well, just a basic definition is just an overgrowth, I guess, maybe is a good way to say it, of abnormal skin cells. That's probably the best way to term it. And it can take on different forms. There are 3 main types of skin cancer: basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma. Those are your 2 most common types. And then the one that everybody knows about and talks about and worries about is melanoma. Mm-hmm. And there's good reason for that. Melanoma is your type of skin cancer that is the most deadly because it's the one that can spread to other places.
A number of our viewers, they work in their garden, they work in their yard with their plants and cutting grass and stuff like that. So what are some of the causes of skin cancer that we can talk about this morning?
There's, you know us, we like to dummy things down and simplify. You only have to learn one thing for this. It's UV exposure to UV radiation, period. That's the cause of skin cancer. Now, that can come from different places, obviously the most prevalent answer being the sun. Now, we all know where the next most likely place is. That's those tanning beds. You know, tanning beds are just laying right in it.
You're not pro tanning bed, are you?
No, I look so good as it is, I wouldn't want to change that in any way.
You look like you haven't been in the sun or a tanning bed.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're going to talk about it in a few minutes too.
We're about to get to that. No, the cause is simple. It's UV radiation. And obviously you can have a great impact on how much exposure you get based on time and other things you do in the sun as to what the causes are and what your chances and prevalence in those causes are.
You know, Jared, I see people who are older people that have worked out a lot in the open air and the sun gets to them because, you know, they're farmers, they're growing their gardens and stuff like that. And now then this sun and exposure from the sun is catching up to them.
Yeah, that definitely happens. And I think the accumulation of that certainly makes it more likely for you to develop skin cancer. It just makes more sense, right? That makes sense. The more you're out in the sun, the more likely you are to get it. There are some people, though, who have, what would you say, more risk factors than others, all right? So let's start with...
And you're looking at them.
Yeah, let's start. Jacob is a perfect example. Let's start with people who have a lighter skin color, people who have blonde or red hair, people who have blue eyes, people who have skin that burns easily or freckles easily or reddens easily when they're exposed to the sun. And people who have certain types of moles. I've got one right here on my forehead that I'm going to have to get checked out before too much longer because it's growing in size. And then people who have a family history. Like we mentioned, our dad's had a bunch of this on his head. And so I would say that both of us are at risk for some of those reasons right there.
What has the color of your hair or the color of your eyes, what does that got to do with that?
Nothing that it's easy to find beyond a lot of those things are tied into your skin type. You know, skin, hair, and nails are all the same thing in different forms. Skin, hair, and nails are the same thing. So yeah, the things that determine, coloring, which is again from the skin system, and hair, all those things go into what type of skin you have. So in the same boat as, whether you have light colored skin that freckles easily as being a risk factor, it stands to reason that things with your hair and eyes would be in the same boat of risk factors because same system.
And a lot of the kids are excited about getting out of school. They're headed to the beach and they're going to sunbathe and all this kind of stuff. But I've always heard, and it's not in our notes here.
Don't go off the script. We can't handle it.
There's certain times of the day that it's better for you to be out in the sun than other times of the day.
Well, that's right. The most, if I'm remembering this correctly, the hours that had the most UV exposure are 10 and 2. Is that about right? 10 to 3 maybe? Is it 4?
Yeah, and
like I said, 10 to 4.
It's even specific enough that's, although we don't worry about it as much in the winter, it's 10 to 4 on our current time cycle, the daylight saving time. So it's 9 to 3 during those 4 months of the year that we don't think about it as much because it's not as sunny outside or as warm outside, we're not as exposed. But yeah, so it's very specific as to what times of day the UV radiation is the strongest. And for time now, it's 10 to 4.
And very quickly, another footnote to that's not in our notes this morning. Can you develop skin cancer from being out in the sun with a cloud cover?
Oh yeah, absolutely. My wife and I have debated about this for a long time. She says, Jared, you need to even wear a hat when you're driving down the road, even when the sun's not out. And she's probably right about that. Now I got moles on both sides of my on my forehead here, but yes.
I think that's just dirt.
You don't have to be able to see the sun to get UV exposure. That's a very good point.
Jacob said that was your head.
It's just dirt. You just wash it.
Let's talk about some of the symptoms of skin cancer.
Okay, and these are less defined than a lot of things we talk about on your show. People are going to say they're not really answering the question, and yeah, unfortunately we are, and that is a spot on your skin that is changing color, or it's new. Hey, that wasn't here the other day, or it's growing, or it's a mole that you haven't noticed before. So basically, changes in color, size, spots, sores that won't heal. Things like that on your skin. Anything abnormal on your skin doesn't necessarily mean it's a skin cancer, but it is something you need to have checked out. Look, if I nick myself in the yard working, and okay, I know why that spot's there, and if it's gone in a few days, I'm not going to go get that checked out, obviously.
Yeah.
But if there's a spot that it's new, I don't know why it's there, it wasn't there 2 weeks ago, now it's been here 3 or 4 weeks, it's not going away, okay, we need to get that looked at.
Yeah, and we talked this morning, we're a little lighthearted in some instances of the conversation, but this is very, very serious.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And fortunately, the larger percent of skin cancers are ones that are not as serious, right? There's most definitely a sector of skin cancer that's very, very serious. That would be your melanomas. That would be the ones that could spread to other places. Those are the ones that actually cause death. So there are skin cancers that do lead to death. And so in that instance, we want to take that seriously by getting these places checked out, right? And so while melanoma can be deadly, something like 99% of it is curable if found in time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if we don't ignore these lesions and these skin abnormal growths on our skin for too long, then we can catch them, treat them, get them taken care of, which is great news. It's bad news because it can be deadly, but it's great news because if we don't ignore them, we can do something about it.
Jacob, what can we do to reduce our risk of skin cancer?
You know what? It's fortunately easy and simple. it's cut down your UV exposure. So, okay, well, let's get practical then. More clothing layer, in other words, and I don't want to wear long sleeves in the sun, hot time of the year either, but if I'm going to be outside in the sun for a really long time and I want to be safe, then, sure, a thin shirt, but a long sleeve shirt, hats, things like that. Let's cover up as much as we can. Definitely hats with a brim to cover the ears, the forehead, those, because this is where we're seeing them. All our customers that come in the store, this is where we're seeing them. Let's cover that up with a hat. Sunscreen. Nobody wants to take the time to put on sunscreen every time they go outside. I don't want to do that. But that's the simplest, safest answer. It's not complicated. It's just annoying. Put on a sunscreen with at least an SPF of 15 every time you're going to be outside doing stuff. And if you're going to be out there longer, reapply. But sunscreen and clothing cover, it's a simple answer. Just we don't usually want to do it. But it's a simple answer.
Yeah, my friend Cisco King, both of you guys know him. He always wears a brimmed hat now because he's had skin cancers.
Absolutely.
And he's learned the hard way about having your head covered when you're out in the sun. People are thinking, wow, I've got this spot, or I've got this spot, or I've got this spot. What do I do when I think I may have a problem here?
Yeah, simple answer. The simple answer is tell your doctor. Show these spots to your doctor. It's possible that your primary doctor will say, hey, that's something to be concerned about. Let's send you to a dermatologist.
So they can identify that to whether, you need to go further, right?
Look, I will tell you, I say this to our patients all the time. To me, dermatology is one of the most difficult jobs there is. Diagnosing what this rash means, diagnosing what this mole means, that's some difficult stuff. Thankfully, there are ways through pathology that they can take samples of these spots and send them off to determine exactly what they are, and then remove those spots if they are something that needs to be removed. But the simple answer is, if you have a growth that hasn't been there before, if you have a mole that's growing in size, if you have a sore that simply will not heal, then show it to your doctor. Like I said, they very well may say, this is something we need to send you on to a dermatologist for further exploration for sure.
Jacob?
You know what? Other than I'm very concerned that at some point Jared's going to have a procedure that's going to mar that face.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm
going to
worried
get a
about.
nose reduction at the same
Yeah,
time.
well, there's a lot we both need to have done. And it just, the reason, again, we brought this up to the very first. We have so many people that come to see us that, we'll see just a giant bandage on our head that I didn't see 3 or 4 days ago. Hey, Mr. Jones, what you got going on there? Had a skin cancer removed, and they had to cut a lot deeper than they thought, because while they're in there, they're examining as they go, layer by layer. So they had to go a lot deeper than they thought. Had to, cut some skin off of somewhere else to patch it back up. Turned into a much bigger deal than we thought. We see this every day. And so I don't want to mark up this pretty face. No, Jimmy Dale, your face is your moneymaker. I wouldn't want you to have to get yours marked up.
The longer you let it go, the more they're going to have to cut out. I mean, that sounds simple, but the earlier we get it looked at, the less invasive we're going to be.
Absolutely.
Now, who is more susceptible other than skin color and that kind of young, old? Does it matter?
Age does matter, because it's just how many opportunities have you had for UV exposure, and how many years have you had for that to develop into something abnormal? And so, not because the skin of an old person is drastically different, it's just because so much more opportunity for it to have been there.
Yeah. Before we go this morning, what's the latest on COVID-19 from you guys' viewpoint?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, for the virus itself, I don't remember the last prescription that we did for a person who's had it. I'm sure we've done one in the last couple of weeks, but the incidence of people actually having the virus is way, way, way down. As you guys know, the state of Alabama numbers are way, way, way down.
And that's a good thing.
Of course. Back to where we were probably about this time last year, maybe even less than where we were this time last year. The demand for the vaccine is down. I hope that means the demand for the vaccine is down because everybody who wants it has gotten it. And so we're still doing the vaccine at the pharmacy. Right now, we're completing a round of, let me say this correctly, a round of second doses for people who got first doses last month. We'll start another first round, I think, the first week of June. But yeah, the demand for the vaccine is going down because of its increased availability and because people who really wanted it have been able to get it, which is a good thing.
I saw a PSA of Coach Saban, and he is really pushing for the COVID-19 vaccinations and stuff. And I don't know so much about all that. Some have taken the vaccine and some haven't. But I've seen a lot of death because of COVID-19 and the factors surrounding that. So whatever you do, if you need or if you've started your round of shots, it probably would be a good thing to go ahead and finish those shots out, right?
Yeah, if you've started one of your 2 shots, one of the companies that has a 2-shot series, then with very few exceptions, you need to go ahead and finish it out. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you for being here with this morning. We've talked about skin cancer and the causes and what type skin cancer there are. And so if you're headed to the beaches or you're going outside and cut grass or work in your garden, wear a hat for sure and some layered clothing as well. Thank you guys for both being here this morning.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
More Daybreak just ahead.